G'day legends, Insta360 have sent me their Insta360 1R camera. It's an action camera, it's modular. It's been out since January 2020 and I'm going to do a first impressions video on this specifically for road cyclists. So I've been using action cameras since 2010. This is my first original action camera, and this thing is so old that it takes AAA batteries in the back of it. Believe it or not, this camera actually still works. I was playing with it at home today, just walking around the house, and you can see me walking around the backyard. The image quality isn't amazing. This is the original housing that came with it, and as you can see from this footage, this is from a race back in 2010, back when I was racing A-grade criteriums locally here in Melbourne. Now the footage got better and better as the years went by on the GoPros. I had two GoPro Hero 4s. I used to put one on the front of my bike and one on the back, and depending on whether I was talking about the race happening in front of me or behind me, I'd switch between that footage. That image quality, the image stabilization, was adequate for the time, but obviously since 2015 and beyond, we've actually got way better cameras. Now when we specifically look at action cameras and what we want out of them, we want good image stabilization, because when you're riding your bike you don't want jittery footage because it just looks terrible. You want nice smooth footage. Now I put the Insta360 1R image stabilization to the test. I got out of the saddle. As you can see in this footage, I'm out of the saddle, I'm pushing the handlebars left and right, sprinting as such to get the bike up to speed. I've got the 360 module in place on the Insta360, and you can see the image stabilization on this footage is absolutely outstanding. It basically isn't moving, and I was so impressed with that, and that's probably the number one key thing that you want in an action camera. So I have used 360 cameras in the past. I have experimented with them in various areas on the bike, but I found them very impractical. They were too big. The Fly 360 in this case was probably too big for the handlebars, and I found the software very difficult to deal with. Here's some footage of me mountain biking. Now, I'm not much of a mountain biker. I put the 360 camera on and it didn't turn out well for me. Alright, so I did survive the crash. I can't blame the 360-degree camera. It was a bit heavy and a bit big and a bit bulky on the front of the bike, but it's my skills, man, it's my skills. So this little bad boy is much, much smaller. It's more practical to put on the bike. So let's get into the modules and I'll explain to you why and where you would use certain modules under certain circumstances. All right, the first unit is the control unit. It's got a small display on it. It has the on-off button on the top of it and the record button on the top. And then you've also got a little latch that opens up on the side where you can put a micro SD card. And there's also a USB-C connector, obviously, for charging the batteries. And you can also transfer files through that USB-C connector. You can't connect a USB-C connector up to the battery and charge it on its own. It has to be connected to the camera, which I found to be a bit of a bummer because you'd like to be using the camera whilst charging the batteries, but there is a separate battery charger that you can purchase from Insta360, which you can charge the batteries up with. So let's move on to the camera module units. First of all, we'll start with the 360 module. You simply plug that into the control unit and then you plug the battery in to the bottom. And this is a very versatile camera because you can put it on your helmet, you can see all the way around you. You can put it in other areas on the bike, and I'll explain that later in the video, but then you have obstructions with the bike or your legs or your backside or all sorts of things. So probably the best location for this camera is placing it on your helmet, because then you get unobstructed views all around you while you're riding. And in situations where if you're a commuter, you're riding to and from work, you've got a full view of where traffic is, and if there's an incident with a car, you can at least look at that footage from behind or in front of you and you can see what happened and you can get the license plate of the car. If you're using a GoPro or you're using one of the other two modules for the Insta360, then you're going to be limited to that front-facing view or the rear-facing view, depending on where you put the camera. So a 360 module is really good for commuters. Now, if we move on to the Leica 1-inch module, you need to actually screw the cover off the lens to be able to get it in the casing so that you can place the unit on the bike or on your helmet or in the actual casing mount. Now, you'd use this in situations where you wanted a really good quality image. The final module, the final camera module that you can use is the 4K wide angle module, and this is probably the most widely used module besides the 360 camera that I'd use. It's versatile, the image quality is good enough, and if you're telling a story in your videos, you don't really need the 1-inch module. In my opinion, the most popular out of the 3 modules is going to be the 360 degree module because the image quality is fantastic out of that thing. It's up there with this 4K module. You'd really have to look at the footage to see the difference between the two. Now let's quickly move over to the bike and I'll show you positions on the bike where you can place the cameras. Now, as far as mounting the action camera goes, there are a few places you can put it, usually under the bike seat, or you can put it on the front of the bike underneath the Garmin mount. In this situation, I'm using a quad lock mount, which has an attachment for an action camera. But yeah, that's probably the most popular place. The other option is on top of your stem. And the way you can do this is just put a 3M sticky thing down with a plate, let it settle overnight just so it sticks for 24 hours, and then you can put the action camera straight on top of that. I've never lost a camera from that position ever. Now, we've already spoken about you can mount it to your helmet. I've already said I prefer that as the best place for a 360 camera, but there is also the chest mount. Now you can see with the 360 camera attached, it is pretty good footage. You can look at the front. When you look backwards, it is obviously a bit blurred because of the body, and this is the paradox of 360 cameras, is that you need to use the extension arms to get them further away from you so that you can get a good vision of yourself. Now the problem with that is that when you're riding a bike or you have the attachment to the bike or your helmet and it's extended on the extension arm, it makes it more floppy, and it also makes it more dangerous for yourself because you can get these things fall off or flop down and get caught in the wheels or something like that. So fortunately, all your old GoPro sticky mounts and adapters and things are cross-compatible with the Insta360 1R. So if you've got any of those lying around from old GoPros and stuff, hang on to them because they will work with this system. So in summary, I think this is a fantastic product. I'm going to spend some more time with it over summer as we open up out of coronavirus lockdown here in Melbourne. Obviously there's going to be more criteriums. We're coming into racing season really here in Australia because it's coming into summer. And that means more riding with this Insta360 module. So if you like this video, legends, make sure you smash that like button. In fact, don't smash it, just get your mouse button and just click on it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. And hopefully I am motivated to make more videos through summer, but we'll see. So until next time, legends, I'll see you in the next one.